Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gersh1, and you were watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about the Blood Angels as we get into Blood Angel on Blood Angel crime. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day. And if you have any suggestions for topics, comment down below. This was a viewer request, which is why we're doing Blood Angels versus Blood Angels. They tend to fight each other. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Blood Angels. Upon the world of Cybele, one of the most dire events in the Blood Angels' long history came to pass in the form of Brother Archaio, who possessed a sacred relic known as the Spear of Telesto, and proclaimed himself to be the reincarnation of Sanguinius. Fealty was given to the so-called Reborn Angel by many within the ranks of the Blood Angel 6th Company, but unknown to the Blood Angels, an Ordo Hereticus Inquisitor named Remy Estelle, a secret servant of the ruinous powers, manipulated the situation to cause a schism within the chapter. After two Blood Angels, Callio and Vode, were both killed by Archaio's loyalist, Mephiston decided that he, not Dante, should go and deal with Archaio. He reasoned that since he was a psyker, he could better detect the taint of chaos upon Archaio and his followers. Mephiston arrived on the Blood Angel shrine world of Sabian to judge Archaio and turn the powers of his formidable witch sight upon him. He saw the carefully hidden seed of chaos that Stell had planted inside Archaio, and denounced the Reborn Angel as false and the Inquisitor Stell as a heretic. Mephiston then challenged Archaio to a duel, but before it began, Archaio's biological brother, Sergeant Raffin, a fellow Blood Angel, arrived and offered to challenge him instead. Brother Raffin was one of the few Blood Angels of the 6th Company who had doubted the veracity of Sanguinius' supposed resurrection, keeping faith with the Emperor and their Primarch, and formally denouncing his brother as a false reincarnation. Mephiston looked into Raffin's mind and saw that he had seen a vision of Sanguinius, and that he was destined to fight Archaio. The Lord of Death allowed Raffin to take his place, and the two siblings dueled to the death. After Raffin wounded Archaio, the corrupted Inquisitor Stell ordered the Loyalist Blood Angels and the warriors of the Angels Reborn to attack Mephiston and his entourage. Eventually, Raffin emerged triumphant, impaling Archaio through the heart with a spear of Telesto. Archaio died begging for his brother's forgiveness. After his sibling's death, the true master behind the nefarious chaos plot revealed himself as Malphalax, a greater demon of Tzeentch. Malphalax and the Inquisitor had entered into a devil's bargain with War Master Garand of the traitorous Wordbearers Legion to turn the Blood Angels to chaos by using Archaio as a false messiah. When Archaio was killed by his sibling Raffin, Stell attempted to summon Malefax, intending to have the demon possess the slave Ulan. Instead, Malphalax betrayed the Inquisitor and possessed his body, fully manifesting as the Lord of Change. Malphalax then attempted to cause the Blood Angels to succumb to the Black Rage, but was in turn banished by Raffin, using the Spear of Telesto. By the time Raffin had defeated Malphalax, Mephiston's iron will had snapped, and he fell once more into the Black Rage. Raffin directed the power of the Spear of Telesto at Mephiston himself, breaking the hold of the curse upon the Great Librarian for a second time. In the aftermath of this great tragedy, Archaio's remains were eventually burned upon a pyre, out of respect for the fact that he had been duped into heresy through no fault of his own. The Blood Angels that willingly followed Archaio learned of the treacherous plot of the Agent of Chaos Inquisitor Stell, and tried to comprehend the awful realization that they had been tricked. Each brother understood that they had been turned into unwitting pawns in the grand scheme unleashed by the Chaos God Tzeentch to steal their very souls. These fallen battle brothers were brought aboard Mephiston's warship, the Europe, stripped of their war gear and shackled in manacles. One of the Blood Angel strike teams, loyal to Mephiston, located the hardened steel module from the interior of the fortress that housed the progenioid capsules containing the genetic material of the traitorous fallen Blood Angels who had followed Archaio. Many of the clerics aboard the Europe were of the opinion that this gene seed was now tainted and fit only for the fires of the fusion furnace, but Mephiston thought otherwise. The genetic material was placed in secure holding for the journey back to Bao. It was Lord Commander Dante alone who would decide the fate of this gene seed. There were voices from Bao that counseled that Raffin should be executed along with the loyalist survivors of the 6th Company. They were afraid that Raffin might take the same path as their brother Archaio, since they shared the same blood. The knowledge that he had been able to wield the sacred spear of Telesto changed this opinion. Raffin's dedication and honor to the chapter was unparalleled. Lord Commander Dante gave Raffin a personal audience once the Europe reached Bao. Though offered a promotion to the rank of captain and a command of his own company, Raffin refused. He chose to earn his position on his own merits when the time was right. Raffin only made one request of the Lord of Death: compassion for his battle brothers of the 6th Company who had strayed and followed his sibling into heresy unwittingly. Blinded by their beliefs in Sanguinius, their faith had been turned against them and misused. Mephiston counseled Raffin that the rites of cleansing and purification that might be employed were quite arduous. Many of his battle brothers would not survive the process, but Raffin informed Mephiston that they would endure, and their faith would be twice as strong for it. Teetering on the brink of oblivion following the events of the Shrine World of Sabian, the fate of the Blood Angels chapter now required the generosity of their successor chapters. Lord Commander Dante summoned all of the Blood Angel successor chapters for a conclave on Bao, following the near disastrous chapter civil war that nearly tore the Blood Angels apart. Dante called for the support of the Blood Angel successors to help aid the chapter in the protection of their common Primarch's homeworld and his remains from the attack of both the Tyranids and the forces of chaos. While Dante led the discussion of the conclave, the Apothecary was working on a radical new procedure to replenish the ranks of the Blood Angels in one swift stroke: the lost art of replique. Caicus was the chief apothecary of the Apothecary Majoris of the Blood Angels. Disrupted by the dwindling numbers of his chapter and dreading its extinction, he was involved in the fruitless experiments, which Lord Commander Dante ordered stopped, to clone Space Marines, thus eliminating the need to go through the arduous process of maturing and implantations of the gene seeds in aspirants. However, Caicus disobeyed the order and secretly continued the experiments. He was probed by an agent of the Vile Chaos Space Marines Apothecary, Fabius Bile. He was tricked into bringing Bile, who was disguised as a well-known Adeptus Mechanicus Magos biologist, to Baal, mistakenly thinking that the false Magos would help in cloning the Space Marines to increase the Blood Angels' numbers. Through Bile's manipulation, Caicus was duped and only managed to create monstrous mutant clone Astartes known as Blood Fiends, who were consumed by the Red Thirst. These creatures were a shattered mirror reformed in the image of a Blood Angel, but lacked any of the qualities that could be thought of as a human. The mutations that had cursed the gene seed of the Blood Angels had been enhanced by the schemes and chaotic tech heresies of Fabius Bile, and with each drop of blood they consumed, the thirst that dominated the Blood Fiends grew stronger. These superhuman mutants broke free from the confines of Caicus's laboratory and began to run rampant through the sacred halls of the fortress monastery of the Blood Angels. During this rampage, Bile managed to steal a glass vial that Caicus had carried back from the chapel of the Red Grail, a measure of the mingled blood of 100 centuries of sanguinary priests and the Primarch himself, the raw vitae of the chapter. During the Blood Fiend's rampage, a small group of bloodthirsty mutants assaulted the sacred chapel of the chapter's fortress monastery. Brother Corbulo raced to the chapel to confront the vile creatures. He knew exactly what it was that the beast wanted, and he bellowed out of denial, charging in a headlong rush to meet such embodiments of corruption. The creatures swarmed Corbulo as the sanguinary priest carved into them with his chainsword, Heaven's Teeth. But the largest of the Blood Fiends, a massive brute, easily the size of an Astardian Terminator armor, threw itself toward its target, the Red Grail, and the precious blood of the Primarch it contained. The Blood Fiend seized the holy relic and then tipped the contents of the cup into its open mouth and drained it to the dregs. Now that the beast had tasted the blood of the Primarch, they only craved more. The Blood Angels and their successors successfully defended their most sacred of sites on Bao, the golden sarcophagus of Sanguinius within the sacred sepulchre where the great angel lay for all time, sleeping in light, forever preserved. The sons of Sanguinius destroyed the horde of mutants and erased the stain of chaos from their midst. They had paid for the continued sanctity of the great angel with their blood, and in the aftermath of this misery, Lord Commander Dante took responsibility for what had happened, and he accepted it without complaint. Dante believed that it was his hubris that had brought the chapter to this dark place. The gathered successor chapters took this into consideration, as well as Lord Commander Dante's original request for the successors to grant the Blood Angels a small tithe of their chapter's initiates in order to replenish the ranks of the chapter. The successors unanimously agreed to hand over to the Blood Angels some of their own neophytes to help their ancestral chapter rebuild its strength in the wake of the Chaos Assault, and in preparation for the oncoming assault of the Tyranids and the forces of Chaos. And those were 40 facts on the Blood Angel Schism and their fight amongst themselves. The second one, I guess it would be the Blood Angels fighting a mutant version of a Blood Angel, but it's still Blood Angel on Blood Angel crime, which I found really interesting. If you also found this interesting, share it with your friends on Facebook, Reddit, whatever social media you guys use. It helps out the channel when you do so. I wish we had Blood Fiends within the Chaos Space Marine Codex. I don't think we do. I think they would be very similar in stats to like Berserkers, but the model would be badass. Like, I don't really like the Khorne Berserkers, the new ones that came out. So having mutated Space Marines would be pretty badass. Not just Space Marines with horns, but actual like mutant, like bigger, tougher looking Space Marines. But again, they'll probably have the same stat line as like a Berserker, with maybe less shootiness. Oh, no, Berserkers don't shoot. Something like that. If you don't play the tabletop, I'm sorry. You probably already clicked away anyways. But yeah, it would be kind of cool to see these guys on the battlefield. Now, this was a viewer request. Somebody requested Blood Angels lore, and I thought it would be cool to talk about all the times the Blood Angels kind of hurt themselves. So here it is. If you guys have any other requests, comment down below. Don't forget we have a Patreon. A simple $1 a month helps us create more videos for you guys. And we're going to start interacting with you guys more so, or taking suggestions more so from Patreon. So we're going to get that up and going once again. But yeah, if not, just like, comment, and share, and it helps out the channel, guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow. But yeah, this was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
Oh, I used to put my